तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविविरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we are in the conversations of September 14, 1884. And we go back a few lines, pointing to the sadhaka from Konnagar. A devotee said to the master, "Sir, he has come to visit you. He has some questions to ask." The sadhaka was seated erect, his chin up. Maybe he wants to show that he is a sadhaka. Let us see. Sadhaka, "Sir, what is the way?" It appears to be a very straight question. Master, faith in the Guru's words. One attains God by following the Guru's instructions step by step. It is like reaching an object by following the trail of a thread. Sadhaka, is it possible to see God? Master, he is unknowable by the mind engrossed in worldliness. One cannot attain God if one has even a trace of attachment to woman and God. Yesterday we discussed this, but he is knowable by the pure mind and the pure intelligence. The mind and intelligence that have not the slightest trace of attachment. Pure mind, pure intelligence, pure Atman are one and the same thing. And this we had read yesterday. I have repeated for a different purpose. Sadhaka. But the scriptures say, from him words and mind return baffled. He is unknowable by mind and words. Now Thakur has already told that the mind which is engrossed in worldliness, he cannot be attained. And if the mind is pure, then he can be attained. Because pure mind is nothing not different from the pure Atman. But he did not understand this point, and he has some rigid ideas about the scriptures. And so he quotes the scripture that yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. So the mind comes back. That is in the Taittiriya Upanishad. But Thakur was quoting from Gaudapada's Caritas. Master, oh stop. Thakur did not like this, because Thakur has told faith in the words of the Guru, and he has quoted. He knows that mind ordinary cannot reach God, but he has emphatically said that if the mind is pure, buddhi is pure, by that God is attainable. Not only that, but they are equivalent to the God himself. and he has argued against it. One cannot understand the meaning of the scriptures without practicing spiritual discipline. So, the Shastras say something in a particular context. In another context, the Shastra will tell something else. Now, unless you are doing sadhana, you cannot understand the context. And that is why you fail to understand the Shastra. Shastras are not something like a flat horizontal teaching. And you cannot pick up this teaching and say Shastras say like that. In the spiritual context, in what context the Shastra has said, this can be understood only if you are trying to do that. What will you gain by merely uttering the word Siddhi? The Pandits glibly quote the scriptures, but what will that accomplish? A man does not become intoxicated even by rubbing Siddhi on his body. He must swallow it. What is the use of merely repeating, there is butter in the milk? Turn the milk into curd and churn it. Only then you will get butter. Now, the sadhaka does not seem to be such a straight mind. He has a peculiar argument here. I will change the translation a little, then you will understand. You talk about churning butter, but all this is also in the Shastras. So you are also quoting the Shastras. What you are telling about butter, that also you are quoting from the Shastras. And if I quote from the Shastras, you say you cannot understand Shastras. So again, he has not understood the difference at all. Who can talk about Shastras? One who has practiced spiritual sadhana, he knows the different levels and he can quote the Shastras. But unless you know the context of the levels, you cannot quote the Shastras. Master, what will one gain by merely quoting or hearing the scripture? So again he repeats that. One must assimilate them. One must experience what the Shastras have told. The almanac makes a forecast of the rainfall for the year, but you won't get a drop by squeezing its pages. This is an example. Sadhaka. You talk about churning butter. So he again goes back to that first statement. Have you done it yourself? Sir, he is asking a question and is challenging the reply. Master, you don't have to bother about what I have or haven't done. Besides, it is very difficult to explain these things to others. Suppose someone asks you, what does ghee taste like? Your answer will be, ghee tastes like ghee. So the experience cannot be communicated to others unless his mind is sufficiently receptive. And arguments are not going to solve anything. To understand these things, one needs to live with holy men. So when you live with sadhus, you will know what they are experiencing, how the truth has different statements at different points, what they realized or not, how you will understand. Unless you have sufficient receptivity, by living with the holy men, you will get some receptivity. And then only you can understand. Let me quote here my conversation with my Guruji, because we are seeing Hriday Ram and all that. So I asked my Guruji, is it not true that you cannot gain anything from holy company unless you have receptivity? He counter told me, how are you going to get receptivity unless you are living with a Guru? Understood? This is a very big, important statement, and that is what Thakur is telling here. Unless you actually live, Unless you see him, unless you see his actions in all spheres of life, his actions small and big, how will you understand what he has realized or not? Only by words you cannot communicate that. By his life only you can see that. So these are very, very important words. To understand these things, one needs to live with holy men, just as to understand the pulse of bile or film or so on, one needs to live with the physician. Once you have discussed this, the Ayurveda structure as it is today depends almost all on the Nadi Pariksha. And this Nadi Pariksha cannot be written in books at all. Cannot. Now, if you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, let me contrast and tell you. If you go to allopathic doctor, he will ask you to conduct so many tests. If you go to a homeopath, he will ask you history, your father, grandfather, what they suffered, what you do, all that. But if you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, he just puts his hand on your wrist like this. Just 3 fingers he puts here. You put on your own hand, you will find some tickling there. Now this tickling, the frequency of the tickle, the slowness, fastness, the amplitude of the tickling, from this, the Ayurvedic doctor determines whether you have the kapha nadi or pitta nadi. They think that 3 elements make the body. Here they are stated bile, phlegm, and wind. And any disbalance of these creates a disease. And where the disbalance is taking place, I remember when we used to go to Ayurvedic doctors, they will put, and they will ask us question, we have to only say yes or no. Oh, you are coughing, isn't it? Yes. The cough increases in the evening, isn't it? It increases more when you do like that, isn't it? You have to say yes or no. Now, all these cannot be written in books at all. But if you live with them, they will ask you to examine along with them. And then, by the subtler observations, they will communicate you all this knowledge. So the knowledge is to be gained by practical living with the Ayurvedic doctors. Diagnosis. And once they are diagnosed fully, not only the name of a disease, no. Which part of the body, less or more, how, all these things. Then they prescribe the corresponding medicine. So, you must live with him. This is the very good example of living with a sadhu. You observe him, you talk to him, you question him, and slowly, slowly, you get a hold on his life and his thoughts and his consciousness. Then you understand the scriptures, because scriptures are nothing but the outflow of men of realization. That is the only meaning of the scriptures. So in what state of consciousness, what they have said, in what state of consciousness, what they have said, all this you will know only when you live with the sadhus, real sadhus, men of experience. sadhaka. There are some people who are irritated by others' company. What is the point here? What does he imply here? One thing is that he is imputing that Thakur is getting irritated by his company. Or if he is trying to follow what Thakur has said, some people cannot live with sadhus, they get irritated. These two can be the meanings. Master, that happens only after the attainment of knowledge. So real irritation from others happens when you have got knowledge. You do not like people talking nonsense. After the realization of God, shouldn't a beginner live in the company of holy men? You are still a beginner. You have to live in the company of holy men. Then only what I said will come to you. So what you are talking of getting irritated, if you get irritated, your progress will stop. Only after realization, you need not have any company and you are free to get irritated because you don't want to talk to them. But the beginner, Thakur is showing differences clearly. What is applicable when? The sadhaka sat in silence a few moments. Then he said with some irritation, so it was he who was getting irritated. Please tell me whether you have realized God either directly or intuitively. What is directly and what is intuitively? Pratyaksha hope or anubhava hope. What does he mean? Pratyaksha is anubhava only. You may answer me if you are able, or you may keep silent if you wish. So it's like a challenging. The master said with a smile, he is taking very calmly, very calmly. What shall I say? One can only give a hint. The Brahmajna can never say I realize God, never. Because the I vitiates that realization. So only Lakshana, by indication one can tell. Sadhaka, then tell us that much. So that thing gets suspended because something else has intervened. Narendra was going to sing. He said, no one has brought a pakwaj. Pakwaj is the percussion instrument played with vocal music or instrumental music. The younger Gopal. Mahima Charan has one. Master interrupting. No, we don't want anything of his here. From his house, if you give something here, people will have whose it is, Mahima Charan. That is not correct. A devotee from Konnagar sang a song. That sadhaka also was from Konnagar. Every now and then Sri Ramakrishna glanced at the sadhak. The singer and Narendra became engaged in a furious discussion about musical technique. The sadhaka said to the singer, what is the use of such discussions? Referring to another man who had joined in the discussion, Sri Ramakrishna said to the sadhak, Why didn't you scold him too? It could be seen that the sadhaka was not on friendly terms with his companions from Konnagar. Okay. Narendra sang, O Lord, must all my days pass by so utterly in vain? You have seen this song. Down the path of hope, I gaze with longing day and night. The sadhaka closed his eyes in meditation as he listened to this song. So finally, this song has some effect on him. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The rays of the setting sun fell on his body. Sri Ramakrishna quickly opened an umbrella and placed it near the door so that the sun might not disturb the sadhaka. So Thakur is so much solicitous about his sadhana actually. Narendra sang again. How shall I call on thee, O Lord, with such a stained and worldly mind? Can a straw remain unharmed, cast in a pit of flaming coals? Thou all goodness art the fire, and I all sin am but a straw. How shall I ever worship thee? The glory of thy name, they say, redeems those even past redeeming. Yet when I chant thy sacred name, alas, my poor heart quakes with fright, afraid of one's own sins. I spend my life a slave to sin. How can I find a refuge then, O Lord, within thy holy way? In thine abounding kindliness, rescue thou this sinful wretch. Drag me off by the hair of my head and give me shelter at thy feet. Again he sang, Sweet is thy name, O refuge of the humble. It falls like sweetest nectar on our ears and comforts us. Beloved of our souls, the priceless treasure of thy name alone is the abode of immortality, and he who chants thy name becomes immortal. Falling upon our ears, the holy name instantly slays the anguish of our hearts, thou soul of our souls, and fills our hearts with bliss. As Narendra sang the line, and he who chants thy name becomes immortal, the master went into samadhi. That meaning of that line is that Thakur experienced that. At first, his fingers, especially the thumbs, began to tremble. The devotee from Konnagar had never seen the master in samadhi. Seeing him silent, they were about to leave the room. Bhavanath said to them, Why are you going away? This is his samadhi. The devotees resumed their places. Narendra sang, I have labored day and night to make thy seat within my heart. Wilt thou not be kind to me, O Lord of the world, and enter there? Sri Ramakrishna, still in the ecstatic mood, came down from his coach to the floor and sat by Narendra. The beloved disciple sang again. So, seeing that, at least the indication will come to that sadhak. In wisdom's firmament, the moon of love is rising full, and love's flood tide is surging wave is flowing everywhere. O Lord, how full of bliss thou art, victory unto thee. As Narendra sang the last line, Sri Ramakrishna stood up, still absorbed in samadhi. After a long time, the master regained partial consciousness of the world and sat down on the mat. Narendra finished his singing and the tanpura was put back in its place. The master was still in a spiritual mood and said, Mother, tell me what this is. They want someone to extract the butter for them and hold it to their mouths. This is in reference to that sadhak. Huh? They won't throw this spiced bait into the lake for catching fish. Huh? They won't even hold the fishing rod. Someone must catch the fish and put it into their hands. How troublesome, mother! I won't listen to any more argument. The rogues force it on me. I straight away now everything has come out. He was taking very kindly up till this. What a bother! I shall shake it off. God is beyond the Vedas and their injunctions. Can one realize him by studying the scriptures, the Vedas and the Vedanta? To Narendra. Do you understand this? The Vedas give only a hint. Narendra wanted the Tanpura again. The master said, I want to sing. He was still in an ecstatic mood and sang. Naren wanted to sing something of that sentiment, but master himself has taken up. Mother, this is the grief that sorely grieves my heart. That even with thee for mother, and though I am wide awake, there should be robbery in my house, that the mind should go to any other object. The master said, Mother, why do you make me argue? So mother makes him argue. He sang again, once for all, this time I have thoroughly understood. From one who knows it well, I have learned the secret of bhava. So bhava is the spiritual experience. There is no place of argument there. The master said, I am quite conscious. That means he wants to tell that he is on the normal plane now. But he was still groggy with divine fervor. So he's trying to bring his mind down. He sang once more, I drink no ordinary wine, but wine of everlasting bliss. As I repeat my mother Kali's name, it is so intoxicate my mind that people take me to be drunk. Sri Ramakrishna had said, Mother, I won't listen to any more argument. So Naren sang, O mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Hmm. Sri Ramakrishna said with a smile, O mother, make me mad. God cannot be realized through knowledge and reasoning. And right, through the arguments in the scriptures, he had been pleased with the singing of the musician from Konnagar and said to him humbly, Please sing about the Divine Mother. Please, one song. Musician, you must excuse me, sir. Master, bowing with folded hands. No, sir, I can enforce this demand. Aha. Saying this, Sri Ramakrishna sang a few lines from a kirtan, assuming the attitude of a gopi. Radha has every right to say it. She has kept awake for Krishna. She has stayed awake all night, and she has every right to be picked. So Thakur is saying, I am filled with that. I want you to sing. Beautiful Thakur's sentiment through the song. Then he said to the musician, My dear sir, you are a child of the Divine Mother. She dwells in all beings. Therefore, I have the right to enforce my demand. A farmer said to his guru, I shall get my mantra from you by beating you if I had to. Only the closeness of the relation is shown, and the eagerness of the recipient. Musician smiling. By shoe beating? So he extends that. Master smiling. No, I won't go that far. Because Guru has to be respected. Again, in an abstracted mode, Sri Ramakrishna said, the beginner, the struggling, the perfect, and the supremely perfect. Which are you, perfect or supremely perfect? Come along, sing for us. So Thakur wants him to sing. The musician complied. He sang just a melody. Ragini alap kurya, gan gaitechan, manavarana. So he has not come up to the words. In the beginning, they sing only this swaras, which show the mood of that raga. So that much he sang. Master, my dear sir, that too makes me happy. Thakur has got the bhava of that song. The musician then sang a song. So slowly he was forced to sing. When the music was over, the devotees from Konnagar saluted the master and took their leave. The sadhaka bowed before him with folded hands and said, "Holy man, let me say goodbye." So by that time he has at least understood Thakur, or not, will not. Sri Ramakrishna, still in an ecstatic mood, was talking to the Divine Mother. Mother, is it you or I? Aha, that is Thakur. What he is telling is conscious that it is Mother who is talking. But it appears he is talking. So that consciousness he is showing. Mother, is it you or I? Do I do anything? No, no, it is you. Was it you who heard the arguments all this time? Or was it I? No, not. It was you. So that is the conclusion. Sri Ramakrishna became conscious of the outer world and began to converse with Narendra, Bhavanath, and the other devotees. They were talking about the sadhak. Bhavanath smiling. They have gone away, huh? What kind of man is he? Master, he is a tamasic devotee. Bhavanath, he can certainly recite Sanskrit verses. Master, once I said to a man about a sadhu, he is a Rajasic sadhu. Why should one give him food and other presents? At this, another sadhu taught me a lesson by saying to me, don't say that. There are three classes of holy men, Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Since that day, I have respected holy men of all classes. Thakur is quick to learn from anybody at any time. During a conversation, he said, my spirit is, so long as I live, so long shall I learn. Narendra smiling. What? Is it like the elephant god? All indeed are God. So Tamasic Sadhu, Rajasic Sadhu, elephant god, tiger god, like that. Master, it is God himself who sports in the world as both Vidya and Avidya. So Vidya and Avidya are expressions. But God is one without a second. So there is nothing but God. Whether through wrong knowledge, whether through right knowledge. So this is most important. Therefore, I salute both. It is written in the Chandi Durga Saptashati. The Divine Mother is the good fortune of the blessed and the ill fortune of the unlucky. To Bhavanath, is that mentioned in the Vishnu Puran? Thakur says it is in the Chandi. Bhavanath smiling, I don't know, sir. The devotee from Konnagar did not understand your samadhi and were about to leave the room. Master, who was it that asked them to remain? Bhavana smiling, it was I. My child, you are equally good in bringing people here and in driving them away. The conversation turned to the argument that Narendra had with the musician from Konnagar. Mukherjee, Narendra didn't spare him. Master, that's right. One needs such grit. This is called the influence of tamas on sattva. Must a man listen to everything another man says? Should one say to a prostitute, all right, you may do whatever you like? Baapre. To prove his point, Thakur has taken the extreme example. Must one listen to her? At one time, Radha was picked. A friend said, her ego has been roused. Brinde, another friend said, whose is this ego? In Bengali, Ahankar is ego. Ahamkar, whose is this ego? So, meaning, it is God's ego entering into Radha. Radha has no separate ego. Her ego belongs to Krishna alone. She is proud in the pride of Krishna. So, apparent pride is because it is filled with Krishna. The conversation turned to the glory of God's name. Bhavanath, I feel such relief while chanting the name of Hari. Master, what is the meaning of Hari? I feel he who relieves us of sin is Hari. He relieves us of our three afflictions in the world. Three afflictions of the world. Wife, landed property, money. Three tap haran kore. Okay. In Bengali it is clear. Three afflictions. Three tap haran kore. Now we have three types of problems. One is called adhyatmic. That means from our own body and mind we get trouble. Second is from outside nature. The inanimate nature, the different beings and different men. And the third is from Adi Devi, that is from supernatural forces. These are the three afflictions. And Hari removes all these three afflictions. Chaitanya preached the glory of Hari's name, so it must be good. Thakur is conveying that that God himself, as avatar, has proclaimed Hari's name. So his instructions cannot be wrong. So it must be good. Now for this he supports by a funny argument of the world. You see, he was such a great scholar and an incarnation too. Since he preached that name, it must be good. Scholar, he knew the scriptures also, and he was incarnation. Smiling. Once some peasants were invited to a feast. They were asked if they would eat a preparation of hog plum. They answered, you may give it to us if the gentlemen have eaten it. If they enjoyed it, then it must be good. So, this funny argument he gives for supporting that if Yaded Acharati Shrestha, if Chaitanya has said, it must be good. All laugh. This is a matter of laughing only. To the Mukherjee brothers, I should like to visit Shivanath. I won't have to hire a carriage if you take me in your straight away. Mukherjee, all right, sir. We shall set a day. Master to the devotees, do you think the Brahmos will like me? They criticize those who believe in God with form. Mahendra Mukherjee wanted to go on a pilgrimage. He told Sri Ramakrishna so. Master smiling. How is that? Do you want to go when the sprout of divine love has hardly come up? First comes the sprout, then the tree, then the fruit. We are so happy to have you here to talk to. Mahendra, I feel like visiting the holy places a little. I shall return soon. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Sri Ramakrishna left his room. The devotees were walking in the garden. Many of them were about to leave. The master was conversing with Hazra on the north veranda. They were talking of Narendra's frequent visits to Annada, the eldest son of the Guhas. Guha is a family title. Hazra, I hear that Annada is now practicing austerity. He lives on very little food and eats rice once every 4 days. Master, is that so? Who knows? One may realize God even by means of a religious garb. Hazra, Narendra sang the Agamani with another. Agamani, here footnote is given. A class of songs invoking Durga, the Divine Mother. According to Hindu mythology, Durga or Uma is the daughter of King Himalayas. She was married against the will of her parents to Shiva, who roams in the cremation ground in the company of ghosts, smearing his body with ashes and living on alms. According to the terms of the marriage, Durga was allowed to stay with her parents 3 days each year. The Hindu women of Bengal look upon Durga as their own daughter. On the first day of the Durga Puja, they sing the Agamani to welcome the Divine Mother. The song is full of the tenderness and affection of a mother for her daughter, who is returning home from her husband's house after a long time. Agamani is not only the first day, 1 full month before her arrival. They are singing like welcoming her, anticipation. That is Agamani. Master eagerly, how did he sing it? Because as a member of Brahma Samaj, Narendra at that time did not believe in gods and goddesses of the Hindu religion. But perhaps he has come to believe by now. Kishori stood close by. The master said to him, are you well? A little later, the master was standing on the west porch. Since it was autumn, he had put on a flannel shirt dyed with ochre. He asked Narendra, is it true that you sang the Agamani? Accompanied by Narendra and him, Sri Ramakrishna walked to the embankment of the Ganges. Narendra sang the Agamani for him. Tell me, my woman, how have you fared alone in this stranger's house? So this is after her coming on the first day. People speak so much ill of us. Alas, I die of shame. My son-in-law smears his body with ashes from the funeral pyre and roams about in great delight. He is transcendent over everything. He is the God of destruction. So he is beyond everything, and that is what he likes. You too, along with him, cover with ash your golden skin. He begs the food that he eats. How can I bear it, being your mother? This time, when he returns to claim you, I shall say to him, my daughter Uma is not at home. A very tender song. Sri Ramakrishna stood listening to the song and went into Samadhi. That tenderness sent him into Samadhi. And Naren singing. The sun was still above the horizon as the master stood on the embankment in the ecstatic mood. On one side of him was the Ganges flowing north with the flood tide. Behind him, this was seen many times, flood tide, north, ebb tide, down. Behind him was the flower garden. Between the garden and the Ganges on the embankment they are standing. To his right, one could see the Nabat and the Panchavati. Narendra stood by his side and sang gradually. The darkness of evening fell upon the earth. After Narendra and several other devotees had saluted the master and left for Calcutta, Sri Ramakrishna returned to his room. He was absorbed in meditation on the Divine Mother and was chanting her holy name. Every day in the afternoon, automatically used to do that. Jadu Malik had arrived at his garden house next to the Kali temple. He sent for the master. Other two had arrived from Calcutta and he saluted Sri Ramakrishna. The master asked Latu to light the lantern and accompany him to Jadu's garden. Master to him, why didn't you bring Narayan with you? M. Shall I come with you? Master, do you want to come? Other and the others are here. All right, you might come. Will the Mukherjees also come with us? To the Mukherjees, come along. Then we can leave Jadu Malik quickly. Thakur did not want to stay with the rich man, but if many people are there, he can just come back. The master went to Jadu's drawing room. It was a well-furnished room with everything spick and span. The lamps were lighted. Jadu was sitting with his friends and was playing with the children. Servants were in attendance. Smiling, Jadu welcomed Sri Ramakrishna, but he did not get up. He treated the master as a friend of long acquaintance. Actually, Jadu's mother was Sri Ramakrishna's devotee. Jadu was a devotee of Gauranga. He had just seen a performance of Gauranga's life at the Star Theatre and told the master about it. The master listened to his account joyfully and played with the children. With the children, Thakur is always happy. M and the Mukherjee brothers sat near him. In the course of conversation, Sri Ramakrishna told Jadu that other had not been able to secure the post of vice chairman of the Calcutta municipality. Though Thakur had told him, don't seek that, but he is solicitous. And Jadu is a big influential man, so Thakur has told him in front of him. Jadu said that other was still young and could try for it again. At his request, the master sang a few songs about Gauranga. After the music was over, the Mukherjees were about to take their leave. The master too was ready to go, but he was in an ecstatic mood. On coming to the porch, he went into Samadhi. The gatekeeper of the garden house was a pious man. Now and then he invited the master to his house and fed him. Oh. Sri Ramakrishna stood there in Samadhi and the gatekeeper fanned him with a large fan. Ratan, the manager of the garden house, saluted the master and Sri Ramakrishna, returning to the consciousness of the relative world, greeted the manager and the gatekeeper saying Narayana. Then, accompanied by the devotees, he went back to the temple garden through the main gate. Master, to the Mukherjees, pointing to him, please visit him often. Devotees visiting each other is helpful. Mukherjee smiling. Yes, henceforth he will be our teacher. Master, it is in the nature of the hemp smoker to make merry in the company of another hemp smoker. He will not talk even to an Amir. Amir means rich man, lord. But he will embrace a wretched hemp smoker if he happens to meet one. Allah. It was about 9 o'clock. The Mukherjee brothers saluted the master. So long they have stayed, went away. Other and him sat on the floor in the master's room while he talked to other about Rakha. Rakhal was staying in Vrindavan with Balaram. The master had learned from a letter about Rakhal's illness. He was so worried about him that 2 or 3 days earlier, he had wept before Hazra like a child. Other had sent a registered letter to Rakhal, but had received no reply. Master to Other, Narayan has received a letter from Vrindavan. Why haven't you received a reply to yours? Other, I haven't yet heard from Vrindavan. Master, M has also received a letter from Vrindavan. They began to talk of Sri Ramakrishna's seeing a play at the Star Theatre about the life of Gauranga. Master smiling. Jadu told me that one could see the play very well from a 1 rupee seat because Jadu Malik was miserly. Very cheap. Once we were talking about going to Paniyati. Jadu wanted me to go in a country boat with a whole crowd of passengers, not a separate boat. Formerly, he liked to hear a little about God, but I don't see Jadu much nowadays. He is always surrounded by flatterers. They have spoiled him. He is a man of a very calculating nature. I would no sooner set foot in his house than he would ask me, how much is the carriage hire? I would say, his house, not in that near garden. I would say, you don't have to bother about it. You may give me 2.5 rupees. That would keep him quiet. So that was the standard rate. If any extra, Thakur would ask other devotees. It was late. Other was about to depart. The master asked them to bring Narayan with him. This is repeated. We have finished the first volume of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in English. And the second part, okay. So this was September 14, and we are going to Friday, September 19, 1884. And that is about that at the Star Theatre. It was Mahalaya, a sacred day of the Hindus, and the day of the new moon. Okay, I will take it up on tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavivireeditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Om Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.